In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, my dear beloved family, brothers and sisters, we are all very, very happy and honored that we could see each other today. Each day that God blesses us to open up our eyes, as they say, is a blessed day. This day has been set aside by the Western world to celebrate and honor Mother. And it's a shame that it takes us 364 days to remember Mom. But today, as we prepare for a very special message, because this day is special, not because Mom is honored, but it's special this day because God has a message for us today. We want to thank Allah for not only the woman, but let us thank Allah for the womb that gave birth to this wonderful, beautiful black man. A man that words are insufficient and inadequate to describe, but we thank Allah for Mother Samaya Farrakhan, who gave birth to this child. And I would like all of us to stand as we receive our beloved minister, the servant of Allah in our midst. Let us receive him with a warm round of applause from Los Angeles to Boston to Miami to Detroit, Michigan. Let us receive the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! All praise is due to Allah for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! That means God is the greatest. All praise is due to Allah.
Thank you. What my brother was saying in Arabic. What my brother was saying in Arabic is that God is great. And we recognize fully that all greatness comes from God, but He is the greatest of those who manifest greatness. I want to thank you for wishing me a happy birth anniversary. I don't like to pay too much attention to those things, but last May 11th could have been the last one. So I'm very grateful to Allah that He allowed me to see my 74th birthday. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, we praise Him and give Him thanks for His prophets, His messengers, and the scriptures which they brought. We thank Him for Musa, or Moses, and the Torah. We thank Him for Jesus and the Gospel. We thank Him for Muhammad ibn Abdullah and the Holy Quran. Peace be upon these worthy servants of Allah. I count it a great, great honor to be a student of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, without whose presence among us I would not be standing before you today. Through him, I have learned to appreciate the value of Islam and the value of the prophets and the value of the scriptures and the value of Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah. And because of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I thank Allah for giving me life beyond my wrestling with death, that I may continue to serve Allah and to serve our people and to serve the whole of humanity. I am truly, truly grateful for the man that taught me and raised me from spiritual death. I am learning every day his value and the value of every word that he spoke to us, that he wrote to us. Nothing of his words will fall without bringing back what those words were intended to accomplish. And the word that he was given was designed to accomplish the greatest mission in the history of the world. And that is a mission that is called in Bible and Quran the resurrection of the dead. As impossible as it seems to go to a cemetery and call people long dead out of their graves, this is how difficult it is to raise the black man and woman of America and the world from a mental death-like state, that we could become once again the prosperous, united, intelligent, civilized people that gave civilization to the world. I thank each and every one of you for honoring us with your presence today. And I pray that the words from my mouth and the meditation of my heart will be acceptable in the sight of Allah and acceptable to you, that no matter what level of knowledge you are presently on, that today you will leave Mosque Mariam a degree or two more in knowledge than what you had when you came. Thank you. Today is what they call Mother's Day. You know, I am very angry, not with mothers, but angry with the commercialization of everything decent that human beings love and appreciate. Somebody is there to make $1 from our love, and we need to stop. There's no such thing in a Muslim or Christian's life or a Jew's life as a day to honor our mothers. The Bible says, honor your mother and your father. Didn't say for a day. It didn't stop with a day. We literally detest the commercialization on everything in America that is holy or valuable, so that business people make money from your love of Jesus Christ, your devotion to your mothers, your fathers, your loved ones. There's some holiday always set aside to take money from the poor. And I would hope that from today, you will never again buy a flower or a Mother's Day gift for your mother, but every day that you live and breathe, you find a way to honor and respect your mother. In the Holy Quran, which is the book of scriptures of the Muslims, we are taught by God, whose proper name is Allah, to honor and respect the womb that bore us. That is a commitment that Allah asks us to make as Muslims and as people who love righteousness, that every one of us should give honor to that womb, regardless of the condition of our mothers, regardless of the fault that we may find with our mothers. That is the womb that allowed you to come into God's creation, to respect and honor the Creator. So whatever the condition of your mother is, you are not her judge. Honor her, respect her, and every day that you can think about what she's done, the pain that she went through to bring us here, is a day, if you want to give her a card or say something to her or take her out to dinner or sit in the house with her and let her know that you appreciate And this birthday business, people expect when they have a birthday, somebody's supposed to give them something. A life that has done nothing, expecting something. When your birthday rolls around, remember your mother. Because she's the one that bore you with fainting and pain. And every year that you are blessed to be alive, thank her. And the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, gave us a standard by which we measure our own goodness. He said, the best of you is he who is most respectful of his mother. And one of the companions asked the prophet, after God and his messenger, who should we honor next? He said, your mother. And the companion said, well, who after that? He said again, your mother. The companion said, a little confused, well, who after that? And the prophet said again, your mother. And the companion asked for the fourth time, and the prophet said, your father. You do not understand the value of a woman and her sacredness in the eyes of God. This subject today should interest mothers, because every mother who gives birth to children worries about the future of her sons and daughters. But in this world, mothers worry about their sons particularly, because this world is so heavily weighted against the black male. Since greater war is on the horizon, every mother is concerned that she nurtures her children from birth to 17, 18, or 19. And because in America, as a black or Hispanic child or a Native American, there are limited opportunities for us. So the door is open for us to go to prison. And the door is open for us to join the armed forces of America. And many of our children end up in a theater of war. And if they are blessed to come home, many of them are never the same again. So as we are talking on part 5 of One Nation Under God, the War of Armageddon, who will survive and how strong is our foundation, this is a subject that every mother should be concerned with. And every father. Now, today, our talk will be devoted to that which we depend on to buy goods and services, which is called the U.S. dollar. I recognize that we love the Benjamins. So I happened to find a few, and I brought them out. because we have become enslaved to the symbolic power of a dollar that really is losing its value every day. We have deceived for this. We have tricked for this. We have lied for this. We have killed for this. At the death of our loved ones, we have fought over this and what this could buy of material things. So today, I want to talk about the dollar. But I want to start with something that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, since he's my teacher and the base of what I'm going to say in his book, The Fall of America. What? A man wrote a book like that? Yes, he did. And on page 87, he talks about the decline of the dollar. Today, if it is the will of God, I hope to be able to show you why we can no longer trust in this as the God we trust. But we better learn and quickly who is the God that we should put trust in, because putting trust in this in a few days, you're going to see men with Benjamins lighting their cigars because the value of this will be worthless. Follow us today. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad writes, the stronghold of the American government is falling to pieces. She has lost her prestige among the nations of the earth. He's talking about America. One of the greatest powers of America was, past tense, her dollar. The loss of such power will bring any nation to weakness, for this is the media of exchange between nations. The English pound and the American dollar have been the power and the beckoning light of these two great powers, America and the United Kingdom. But when the world went off the gold and silver standard, the financial doom of America and England was sealed. At the time of his writing, the pound had already lost 50% of its value. That's the British pound. And America's dollar has lost everything now as power backing for her currency, which once was backed by gold. For every $5 note and up, you could take this paper and go to a bank and get $5 in gold. And from the $1 note up, you could go to the bank and get silver. But now you can't get gold. You can't get silver. When this falls, you can't get anything for the dollars that you fight over, that you hoard, that we amass. He said, the note today is something that the government declares they will give you the value in return, but America does not name what that value is. Then he says, the fall of the dollar is the number one fall. Everything else will come down if this falls. Or rather, more correctly, when this falls. Now, he doesn't go on to prophesy what will happen if there's 100% inflation. He said, well, your guess is as good as mine. What should we expect? He says, even in the next 12 months. Well, I think there's enough information out there now that we might be able to safely predict what we're going to face in the next 12 months, in the next 24 months, in the next 3 years, in the next 5 years. We don't have a lot of time. Now, all of us that are Christians, and I say this to my Muslim family, this is a Christian country. No matter how much we love the Quran and the beauty of the Quran, you cannot converse with the people of America unless you develop a good understanding of that which they believe in. So Prophet Muhammad is our example. He could talk to Christians, to Jews, to Zoroastrians. It didn't make any difference what their religion was. He knew something about what they believed, so he could teach them out of their books, then bring them to the book that God was revealing to him. Having said that, we shall open to the book of Revelations. We shall start with the 17th chapter because it's very important that we understand what John the Revelator was seeing of the end times. Because it's clear that we are living in the end times. Every sign that you could think of that the Bible and the prophets foretold, you can see it already manifesting that we are living at the end of this system of things. Now, John says, an angel came and he carried me away in the spirit, in the wilderness. See, this word wilderness is a tricky word. What wilderness? See, a wilderness is a place that's uncultivated, undeveloped. And here's John carried into the wilderness. I'm going to make it a little plainer as time goes on by the guidance of Allah and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. And she had a golden cup in her hand that was full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. Now that's a heck of a description. A man carried out in the wilderness, he sees a woman decked in all this finery, sitting on a beast. Now, what kind of place is that for a dignified woman? Sitting on a beast, and the woman had gold and precious stones and pearls. I mean, she had paper. And more than paper, she had material substance. But the woman was holding a cup in her hand that was gold, but in it was abomination and the filthiness of her fornication. And upon her head was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. Now this woman was so stink. I have to find a better word. She was so nasty that she was the mother of harlots. Now, you know, you popularized the word hoe. Everyone is a hoe. Well, this woman was the mother of hoes. She was not only the mother of hoes, she was the mother of whores. But she was not only the mother of these kind of women, she was the mother of the abominations that were practiced throughout the earth. And I saw that woman drunk with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. She was wicked. Then it talked about how she had 7 heads. 7, I think it was 7. Yeah. 7 heads and 10 horns. Now, you know, we read this stuff. We don't know what the heck we're reading. Some woman got 7 heads. Now, you know that would scare us half to death. You would never fornicate with a woman that had 7 heads. This is a scary woman. But the people were fornicating with her. No, what kind of man would that be? And what kind of head did he have? Then John the Revelator said, I'm going to tell you the mystery of the woman and the beast that carried her, which had 7 heads and 10 horns. Then it says, the 10 horns, well, let's start with the 7 heads. John the Revelator said it meant 7 mountains. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate, and naked, eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. And then another angel came, and he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Now look how deep this is getting. John says, for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Now, just a few definitions here. This Babylon was called Mystery Babylon. Mystery. Well, we know the history of ancient Babylon. That's no mystery. We already know that one. But this one is a mystery Babylon. And according to the dictionary, mystery is something not fully understood. It's a religious truth comprehensible only by divine revelation. It's a mystery. Now, the Old Testament says that Babylon could have been healed. No matter how bad Babylon was, Babylon could have been healed. But she was not. Her rulers were so arrogant in ancient Babylon. They had the people of God in their midst. They had defiled the people of God. And they did not want to release them so that God could use them. So that started a fight with God. And ancient Babylon was so blind by her own sense of power that they refused to consult history that would have taught them that no enemy has ever won a fight against God. So Babylon should have known, hey, the jig is up. God is angry with me. I better cool out and do what God say. Not Babylon. Babylon rejected the warner that God had placed in her midst. So the neighboring nations rose up against Babylon, and Babylon was destroyed. And the neighboring nations that dealt with her felt the weight of her fall, because her fall contributed to their fall, because Babylon was a world power. Now, we are not talking about ancient Babylon. We're referring today to the mystery Babylon that is found in the book of Revelations that gives us a hint of the end times. This mystery Babylon was holding a golden chalice. It was gold on the outside. She represented, this mother of harlots represented something so precious, so foundational to success as gold on the outside, a purified material that was formed into a cup that beckoned the world to such a beautiful exterior. But inside, she was filled with abominations and filth of every kind. The standard that Babylon represented was freedom, justice, equity, the rule of the masses. She represented material strength, where one's needs could be fulfilled and all within her society could be whatever they determined they wanted to be. But she was a golden chalice on the outside, but unfortunately, the scripture teaches that she was filled with filth and abomination of every kind on the inside. And when our behavior is abominable, what that means is so bad till it incites the loathing and hatred of God for that conduct. So the woman had incurred God's wrath. And his first effort is to warn that we have incurred his displeasure, which will soon bring about his wrath. But since mercy and grace takes precedence over punishment, he always raises a warner to warn us that we are in a dangerous condition or position. But in that warner is a healing for that society and a healing for the people if the people would heed the warning. So ancient Babylon could have been healed, but she was not. So the scripture says, Babylon the Great is fallen. Now, I learned a little English in school. The scripture didn't say Babylon the Great will fall. Babylon the Great has fallen. It says Babylon the Great is fallen. Is represents a state of being, but it's present tense. It means that the process of the fall has already begun. It means that the very thing that any great nation is afraid of has already happened, and all we're waiting for is the ultimate crash of what has started the fall, because gravity does not permit you to check your fall. So once it starts falling, if you're a part of it, you better find some place to go, something to do before it crashes. Now, but why is Babylon fallen? It says she has become the habitation of devils. Habitation means the act of inhabiting or the state of being inhabited, a natural environment or locality, a place of abode or residence, a native habitat. Well, wait. The environment of Babylon is so loathsome, so putrid, so filthy that it is a natural environment for devils. It says it's the hold of every foul spirit. A hold is a deep, dark crevice that an animal burrows in and finds a hole. This Babylon is a deep, dark hole. And it contains every foul spirit. And it is a cage, a home for every unclean and hateful bird. In The Fall of America by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he talks about certain birds. Now, the Bible and Quran uses birds and beasts and fish to describe the characteristics of human beings. You have an owl. You have a crow. You have a buzzard. You have a raven. See, these are the things that eat on the flesh of others. Now, this place is a place for every unclean and hateful bird. I'm going to say something in a minute. I don't want to keep you in suspense. But this mystery Babylon, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us, is the United States of America. Her influence is all over the world. And she has spread her filth and abomination in every nation of the earth, and all the nations have drunk of the wine of committing fornication with America. Yes, it is true, and it's unfortunate that it is true that America's environment is so foul that it has become the natural place of anybody who wants to rebel against submission to the will of God. America leads the world in alcohol consumption, in drug consumption, in murder, in violence, in rape. America has more of her citizens in prison than any nation on the earth. In every major or minor city, you can see men who are in love and worship the same sex, men and women worshiping their own sex. It's gotten so bad that little boys and girls in the schools are practicing homosexuality and lesbianism. And there's no shame, because the country, so foul, it has allowed every rebellious devil to find a place in America. Live as you please. Do as you please. It's pretty terrible that you don't know where to send your children to school. It's pretty rough. That right now in the jails, in the state prisons, in the federal penitentiaries, the practice of homosexuality and lesbianism is going on every day. So when the brothers and sisters come out of prison, they left their girlfriends out here waiting for them. And the girlfriend don't know that he's become something different. So he's a man by day and something else by night. He's on the down low. Sodom and Gomorrah look like a kindergarten compared to the United States of America. So the Bible teaches that the smoke of her burning was seen afar off, and the nations that committed fornication with her, they wailed and mourned because of her fall. But it's interesting that the scripture uses the word fornication. See, it didn't say they committed adultery with her. See, there was no marriage tie between the nations and America. It's just convenience. We'll have sex. You know how you do. I ain't making no commitment, baby. You understand what I'm saying? We just having a good time tonight. And to hell with what tomorrow brings. So just like we commit fornication, a relationship on perceived biological need. So the nations fornicated with this great nation, and through their fornication, they receive some measure of pleasure, as some of us do. But there was no real commitment on the part of America to her partners that fornicate with her. It was a convenience. So once she saw, or they saw her fall, they mourned, because once the one you're committing fornication with has fallen, the source of pleasure for you has dried up. A few more things and I'll get to the more difficult part. Keep me advised on the time. You know, Pharaoh was the great antecedent of Babylon. Pharaoh is spoken of in Bible and Quran. And Moses has the most prominent place of any prophet in the Quran. Yes. And the reason Moses has that prominent place is because God wants us to study Moses. You can't study Moses and not study the Pharaoh that he came to. Study the children of Israel who were in bondage to Pharaoh, and Pharaoh's refusal to let the children of Israel go, and the plagues that God brought against Pharaoh. Pharaoh was wealthy, and he made a false promise to the slaves that they were going to partake of his wealth. The Quran says he promised those who would oppose Moses and Aaron wealth and nearness to him. Yeah. Look at your leaders, black people. Look, our leaders are so enamored with the wealth of white folks. Come on, let's deal reasonably. That if somebody stands up and says, no, don't integrate with Pharaoh, because God has prepared a mighty future for you, it's these same leaders that will oppose the modern Moses, because Pharaoh has already promised them, hang out with me, I'll make you a millionaire. You're going to be a Negro millionaire. Ain't you happy? You're going to be a Negro billionaire. But all the money that you got, I printed. And I can pay you to fight God. And you are dumb enough to think you can win because you have amassed some degree of dollars. Now, all that have bank accounts that you put your hope in, I got me some dollars that I put aside. So when hard times come, I'll be able to do all right. Well, today we're going to see. Now, Pharaoh's wealth had to be destroyed in order for the children of Israel to recognize that Pharaoh didn't have their future. So the wealth of the white man has to be destroyed. So you don't think anymore that they have your future, so you can bow down to them rather than bow down to the God whose finger has moved against their wealth. So the finger of God moved against Pharaoh to destroy the work of Pharaoh, since that was the thing that was holding the slave away from obedience to God. And God had to destroy Pharaoh's power by destroying Pharaoh's wealth. And as it was, so it is. Remember, I read from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the dollar is the number one fall. Now, most of us are bound to America by the promise of material possessions, not the promise of freedom. Come on now. Not the promise of justice, but the promise of material possessions. We want the new car, the designer clothes, the new home in a better neighborhood. These are the things that lure us to the better paying job, so that we could buy these creature comforts, though we're not free. Muhammad Ali came to have dinner with me one day a few years back. And when I came to greet my brother, whom we as Muslims, we love Muhammad Ali very, very much. And Muhammad Ali kept saying to me, "Still a nigger, brother." And I said, "Muhammad, don't talk like that. "You're not a nigger." And he didn't pay me no attention. He just kept saying, "Still a nigger, brother." We had dinner that night, and he still kept saying, "Still a nigger, brother." And he left. It took me a little time to figure out what the brother was saying. He was saying, "I'm Muhammad Ali. I'm on the Wheaties box. I got millions of dollars. But in their eyes, I'm still a nigger." I don't care where you go in America, how high you think you have risen in America, how much money you've amassed in America. To them, you are still a nigger. Well, those of us that don't go to college, and we think that having a college degree will get us more money so we can get more creature comforts, which the white man makes. And, you know, these can get it for now. You know, I used to be a smoker. Oh, that was a long time ago. But when I was smoking, cigarettes cost 20 cents a pack. And I could go to the corner store because I didn't have 20 cents. And they would break open the pack. And I could buy 5 loose cigarettes for 5 cents. How much does a pack of cigarettes cost today? $9? $9. Now, long time ago, when I used to smoke reefers, long time ago, $54 years to be exact, I could buy a reefer for 50 cents. Why are you laughing? How much? Don't reveal yourself, but how much does a reefer cost today? How much? $20? Is it a little reefer or is it a big fat one? I've been out of circulation kind of long, you know what I mean? But when I was buying them, they were little small things. But they still little? For $20? You see what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said about runaway inflation? Now what was 20 cents 55 years ago is now $9. I bought me a Cadillac. One of those fancy kind. It was an Eldorado. You got it, son. It was in the 70s. 30 years ago. $12,000. How much is an Eldorado today? See, 50, 60,000, depending on what you put in it. And then it's made of plastic, fiberglass. And you got to put the fancy rims on it. Your dollar don't go too far today. A gallon of milk, a quart of milk, years ago. And what does it cost now? So the dollar that used to buy so much buys so little. And it takes more and more and more and more of these. Did you see the movie about Bugsy Siegel and the formation of Las Vegas? Bugsy Siegel went to Los Angeles to buy a house. And the man in whose house he was a great opera singer. And he offered, the man was going to sell the house, I think for $50,000 or $60,000 at that time. And he told the man, I'll give you 80. And it was a mansion. Go out to LA today and see what that house would cost. You couldn't get a house like that under $2.25 million. That's how the value of the dollar has depreciated. Are you with me so far? Now, some of us who don't have a college degree, we say, well, look, I ain't into Wendy's and McDonald's, and I'm not into the wages that I would earn there. Because if I worked for the wages that they offer, I couldn't drive a nice car. I couldn't live in a nice home. I couldn't wear designer clothes. So I'm going to sell some drugs. See? But everywhere you turn, he's trapping you by your desire for what he has that you consider wealth. This man is so clever. He will plea bargain you into a felony and let you go, knowing that there are 55 jobs that you cannot work at and you can't vote. And in a time when black people are coming into the knowledge of their strength in nations, millions of black people that are in the justice system are deprived of the right to vote and are now modern slaves hooked to the industrial prison complex. He got you, baby. If he don't put you in the army and send you somewhere to die, he puts you in jail where he kills you anyway. Now this is your lot. The rest of us, oh yes, I have a fine job. I work downtown. And I work for a legal firm that has hired my services. I'm matriculated from some school with a BS degree. That's about it. And now I have a job paying $60, $70, $80,000 a year, and I got me some benefits. Got health insurance. I got so many days off. I got vacation time. I moved out of the projects. And I went uptown, cross town, and now they done moved me out of town. So I got a place in Crete, I got a place in Matson, I got a place in Suburbia. Yeah. And you feel somewhat comfortable. I don't mean to disturb your comfort, but I want you to rest with knowledge and not go to sleep foolish. Now, God has to move against the wealth of America because your attraction to her is what God is displeased with. So he's breaking the power of her dollar. Now, okay. Now let's get some little economic lessons. Brothers and sisters, on a simple basis, whatever you make of money, this, at the end of the week, this is what allows you to keep a roof over your head, put some food on the table, pay some of your bills. Some. Now, most of us, white folk too, have debt. Where's my credit card? No, that's not one. Oh, here's an American Express. This is terrible. Now, I have a few platinum cards. Wait. But these things suck you up. You can get things now, but you gotta pay later, and it's the paying later that got you in trouble. You go to college, the next thing you open your mail, you got a credit card. And the first thing you think of, damn, excuse me, I can go get something. So then you fill up your credit card. Now it's time to pay. You didn't even consider the interest rate. Oh, Lord, how am I going to do this? My lights is due, my gas is due, my credit card is due. Well, I'll pay the lights. I'll pay the phone bill. I'll try to scrape some money together for the car note. But the rest of that stuff, I got to let that go. Then the phone calls come. You don't want to answer your phone. Could be an emergency, but you don't want to answer your phone because everybody's asking for their money. Now they got a trick going that they let you buy a house. And the mortgage, you didn't read the fine print because you got out of school not learning how to read. And even if you did, you're too lazy to read the fine print anyway. So now you got a mortgage, you living in a nice place, and for 2 years the mortgage is manageable. Then all of a sudden, after 2 years, they tell you your payment is going up, your interest is going up. You say, but I can't afford that. It's too bad. You shouldn't have signed this. Next thing you know, they're foreclosing on your little house. Now, when I was crazy, not that I went in an insane asylum or nothing like that, but I bought me another Cadillac. It was a nice car. It was a Seville. And I fell on hard times. And when I fell on hard times, I went to the person that I'm supposed to pay. And I nicely told him, I have fallen on hard times. I'm not a thief. I'm not trying to rob you. But don't come up on my property to repossess my car, because I've fallen on hard times. Now, I was a little crazy in those days. And I'm not asking you to be crazy. I'm trying to get you to be sane. But I'm using this as a point because later I'm going to show you where America stands with her debt. And how debt can make you crazy when somebody calls the paper on you. I literally told the man I would kill anybody to come up on my property for my car. I said, or I'll burn the car up. Because I'm not going to let you prosper from my hard time. Well, that man didn't come. He didn't send nobody. And I got a little gig and got me some money and went to his desk and paid him. But most black people, when you mess up, and most of us have just about messed up, the enemy don't show you no mercy. He come get your car in the middle of the night or in the daytime. He'll foreclose on your house and have the sheriff put your stuff in the street. You know what I'm talking about. So every house in America has incurred some kind of debt. Now, debt is only debt when you can't manage it. Because everybody owes somebody something. But the idea is when you so stretched out in debt that you cannot manage it, that's when oppression comes in. That's why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave us a prayer. I seek refuge in Allah from being overpowered by debt and the oppression of men. Because once you owe, oppression follows. When I got married to my wife, Elijah Muhammad was making me a man. And I was not going to let a creditor punk me. You don't come to my house to take nothing from me. And you don't threaten my wife. So I told her, and she agreed, we ain't buying nothing on time. We're going to save and buy cash. I could not afford the fine bedroom suite that they offer you in these fancy stores. Don't worry, you can pay next year. So you got a house full of furniture, but don't have the means to pay next year, and then the interest compounds. So everything that we got was secondhand until we could afford to buy firsthand. Some of you are too proud. And the Bible tells you pride goeth before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. Don't ever be too proud to buy something used. Because hell, whoever marries you bought something used. Now, let's take this up to the government of the United States. In 2006, America posted a deficit of $450 billion. How did she get a deficit? She gets revenue from taxing, excise taxes, tariffs, taxes on corporations, trade. She builds her revenue base. All the money that came into the Treasury last year was not enough to equal what she had budgeted for that year. And the money that America took in taxes couldn't even pay the interest on what she already owed. So this is called a Federal Reserve note. They have United States currency, you see it in red. But the Federal Reserve note is in green. And they make sure they get that red one back. Now here you got a note. This is not created by wealth creation. This is created by debt. So the more debt America owes, the more the Federal Reserve gives the engraving corporation instructions to print more money. And the more money that they put in circulation, the weaker the dollar becomes, because there's nothing backing this dollar but the gross national product of America, the symbolic value of America, and the military might of America. That's what backs the dollar. Now hear me. The debt of America, the national debt, they said last year, December, was $8 trillion. $800 billion, increasing at $1.5 billion a day. That's the national debt. But I read something sent to me by my wonderful research team that if you're in a corporation, you can't have two sets of books. One book you use for this purpose, the second book you use to tell you the actual facts. America operates with two sets of books. One set of books is for the public consumption. The other set of books is audited according to accepted accounting practices. And the debt that they show the public is not the real debt of the country. Woo. They say last year alone, the debt that they showed as in 2005 as $370 billion would have been $760 billion if it were the audited set of books. And then even with that set of books, if they figured in Medicare, Social Security, some of the other pension funds and stuff, the debt would have been $3.5 trillion. Now, here's some young boys in here, young girls. You get a job, you pay into the Social Security so that when you reach 65 years of age, you start collecting benefits. Sorry. By the time you get there, son, ain't gonna be nothing there for you. They're gonna take as much as they can from your salary. And they're betting that you won't reach 65. And most of our young men don't reach 65. I'm almost finished. Now, brothers and sisters, we all are the victims of something that happened in this country that violates the Constitution. The Constitution declares that only Congress can have the right to mint money and produce bonds and securities. That's an act of Congress. But in 1913, on the 23rd day of December, a group of international bankers who wanted control of the money of America with the help of U.S. senators and a U.S. president, passed the Federal Reserve Act, which brought into existence the Federal Reserve Bank. Now, when you say Federal Reserve, you think that federal means it's owned by the government. Federal Express is not the government. And the Federal Reserve is not the U.S. government. It is a group of international bankers, Jews and Gentiles, who are correctly called in the book of Revelation the synagogue of Satan, that have gained control. I want you to hear me. Gain control and set up a central bank in America that is not controlled by the U.S. Congress. And in 1913, the 16th Amendment of the Constitution was ratified, which gives the government the authority to tax the people. Up to 1913, America's debt was controlled by the American citizens, and America was solvent in 1913. She didn't owe nothing. In 1862, Abraham Lincoln imposed income tax on the citizens to pay for the war. 10 years later, 1872, the income tax was repealed. But in 1894, Congress tried to bring it back. And the Supreme Court said it was unconstitutional. But in 1913, when the Federal Reserve Act was passed in Congress, the IRS was reenacted because the Federal Reserve was going to put America in debt, and you, the citizen or the so-called citizen, would have to pay for America's debt through taxation. Now follow me. In 1913, Woodrow Wilson was America's president. In 1913, Woodrow Wilson agreed to the Federal Reserve Act. Nelson Aldrich, a senator, and Paul Warburg and a few of the Jewish families of Europe with Gentiles took over the monetary policies of the United States. In 1917, America got involved in the First World War. In order to fight that war, America had to borrow money, and that's when the debt started. Because when she borrowed money, she had to borrow it from somewhere. Federal Reserve have money printed. You borrow it. You pay the expenditures of war, and all you bought was paper. But this paper has interest attached to it, even though it's based on nothing. Just try to follow me. Don't go to sleep. You've been asleep for 400 years. It's time to wake up today. Now look. After World War I, the debt started climbing. They wanted to draw America into World War II. That was a European thing. Hitler and the boys. But in order for America to get involved in World War II in Europe, she had to borrow more money. The debt started escalating. Then Japan attacked. America borrowed more money. And the more money she borrowed, in 1933, America went off the gold standard. So there wasn't nothing after 1933 to back this. So after that was nothing. And in 1971, it was completed. No more gold. And in the 70s, you could buy an ounce of gold for $35 an ounce. And I was with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad one day, and he pulled out a gold coin and put it on the table. And he said, in the future, this would be the medium of exchange. Because the paper will lose its value. Now I want to quickly show how the debt has climbed. After World War II, the Korean War. Every time America went to war, she had to borrow money. There was a time when America would borrow money from her own citizens. We used to buy war bonds. We used to buy treasury bonds and securities that we would keep in a safe for our children. And they would say in 5 years or in 10 years, you can cash this bond in and you will get this plus interest. You remember that? But today, 52% of America's burgeoning debt is owned by foreign governments. So it ain't no more that we could sell bonds to our citizens. We sell bonds to China. We sell bonds and securities to Japan. We sell bonds and securities to Great Britain. Let me show you who owes what. This kind of stuff is classroom stuff. But every time you come to this house, it'll be a classroom. Look, according to this pie graph, intragovernmental debt, $3,794 billion. The publicly held debt, which is still government responsibility, $2,674 billion. But the publicly held foreigners' debt, rather that America owes, is $2,240 billion. The Japanese have bought up $649 billion of American bonds and securities, plus they have $1.2 trillion in foreign currency reserves. The largest currency reserves in the world is in China. You see why America would jump on Cuba, a communist country 90 miles away, and talk sweet to China, a communist country? Because China got America by the testicles. I use that language because every male in here knows how painful that is. The Chinese, in bonds and securities, $354 billion. The British, $249 billion. OPEC, that's the oil-producing countries, $102 billion. Korea, $66 billion. Taiwan, $63 billion. The Caribbean banks, $63 billion. Germany, $56 billion. Hong Kong, $55 billion. Brazilians, $54 billion. Canadians, $49 billion. Luxembourg, $38 billion. Mexico, $36 billion. The French, $31 billion. Singapore, $29 billion. Swiss, $27 billion. The Turks, $24 billion. The Swedes, $19 billion. The Irish, $19 billion. The Dutch, $18 billion. The Thais, $17 billion. The Israelis, $17 billion. The Belgians, $15 billion. The Indians, $15 billion. The Italians, $14 billion. The Poles, $13 billion. And all others, $148 billion. Now, when you go and turn on the news and you find out that China has some American ports, you say, well, how did that happen? The Arabs got so much and so much. The Chinese got. Well, I read that even on I-90, that's right, on the toll booth area, that has been sold to Spain. Wait. When America owe all this money all over the world, she's the largest borrower of all the nations in the earth, almost combined. Look at this now. When you owe a lot of money, sometimes in order to get some money back to pay your liabilities, you sell off your assets. Look, family, I just want to come straight to you. The aggregate wealth or worth of 3,000 by 2,000 miles, continental United States of America, is $41 to $50 trillion. All the federal buildings that are in America and all over the world are $1.26 trillion. Now, all these people that America owes, suppose they say, well, wait a minute, America not doing too good. We want to call the debt. Now, I'm going to come straight to us. See, we think that the house that we own is ours. By eminent domain, they can take your house for the public well-being, highways, construction, and whatnot. But since 2005, there was a Supreme Court ruling that allows the state, the city, or the federal government to take all properties and assign the deed to somebody else. So don't get carried away thinking that you own something. Because in the slave code of laws, it was against the law for a black man to own property. Is Brother Howard Morgan here? My brother. In the slave code of laws, it was against the law for a slave to own a weapon. And I don't care if you think you have a legal right to have a weapon. When these white officers see you and they say, nigger with a weapon, either you die or God bless you. Howard Morgan, stand up a minute, dear brother. This brother a former police officer. Driving one night, he had his weapon. He was legal. He didn't steal the weapon someplace. He had a legal right to have it. But they shot this brother 28 times. And we are lucky. We are fortunate. We already got the victory, Brother Howard, because you are still alive. So listen, don't get happy over what you think you own. The Quran tells you that he's going to try us with something of fear and hunger and loss of property and loss of life. So give good news to those who are patient. In Iraq, a certain sheikh owned a villa. The soldiers went in and put the sheikh out and took that man's villa and used it as a command post. Now I'm going to go to the suspension of the Constitution and what that will bring. And then we can close this. Now look, America is definitely in trouble. So she keeps us and the public popping our fingers, see? You learning a new dance and you out there dancing while the world is collapsing around you. He took your clothes off, sister. You ain't no hoe. You the woman of God. You just need to know who you are and be yourself. But he, the enemy, took your clothes off so that this man won't have a sane thought in his mind. Because it's impossible for him to think sane with your boobs and your butt in his face. And you know it. You know that's your power. And you feel you are powerless if Elijah Muhammad dresses you. I ain't coming in no mosque and wear no long dress. Hell no. Ain't nobody gonna cover my buns. Because this is bootylicious. And how can I get these men to start drooling over me if I don't show them something? And what they see is what they get. And what you sold is what you got. You bought a John. You bought somebody that treats you like a hoe. How many of you are in a union? Some kind of union. Would you raise your hands? Raise them high. I want to see, you know. Good. Now, at the turn of the century, there were no unions. And management was messing over labor. People working in coal mines with no protection. People working in sweatshops with no protection. So the rise of the coal workers union, the steel workers union, the laborers unions began to get better wages, better benefits for the worker. You threaten the management. You don't come across, we strike. When you strike, they lose money. After a while, they bow down and they give you an increase in salary, an increase in benefits, but the price of the commodity that you were making goes up. Now, China has become the world's factory. Hey, excuse me. When I was a youngster, when I bought a jacket, it said in the back, made in America. When I bought a pair of shoes, made in America. When I bought underwear, made in America. Everything you got on. I know you look nice, but from your shoes to what you got on your head is made someplace else. Well, hell, if somebody else is making our clothes, making our shoes, making our underwear, then why do you think the factories are closing? Because American management cannot compete. So America's management and corporate bosses have gone overseas to cheap labor markets. You're not going to work for the money that they work for in China, in Taiwan, in Indonesia, and in other parts of the world. So your union job now, management is saying, well, look, I'm going to have to lay off so many and so many workers. And I'm sorry, you've been here 20 years, but you're the first to go. Management is saying to those that stay, I have to cut some of your benefits, because if you don't agree to a 10 or 15% cut in your salary and a cut in your benefits, I'm going to have to close the factory and you'll be out of a job. So now management is forcing labor to bow down. Now here's how this thing is going. The one thing that America cannot have is internal strife. Because once internal strife develops, all the investors know that this is not a good economy to invest in, and then they start moving their money away from dollars and they call for what they've invested. So look at where America is headed. The people are being taxed more and more. How much did you pay to fill up your gas tank? Electricity in Chicago went up 22%. Your salary didn't go up. So the more it costs for you to live, the less your standard of living is. And the angrier you become. As the dollar begins to fall, who's going to pay the police? Who's going to pay the sheriffs? Who's going to pay the firemen? The protectors of the order of the society are going to revolt if they don't get a means of exchange. The country is headed for revolution. Oh, listen, because you're going to run into every word that I have said. You will not make me out of a liar. Now, I'm closing. You see the plagues that God brought on Pharaoh? The plagues began to destroy Pharaoh's wealth. This morning, fire in Florida, fire in Georgia, closed down the Interstate Highway 10 that goes from the East Coast to the West Coast. Fire on the West Coast. Fire on the East Coast. Floods in the center of the country. Hundreds of tornadoes coming out of the sky. You better listen. You better listen. God is angry with the whore, the mother of harlots. She got to pay for her evil. Now, I know this is frightening. Because you naturally think that the America that you know will be forever. But God's wrath is coming. And it's increasing. And the worst is yet to come. Be thankful that He moved you out of the city. Because when the earthquakes stop, tearing up the fine buildings, killing people by the thousands, tens of thousands, drought in one place, even the bees are dying. The bees that pollinate to give you fruit. Millions of bees have died and they don't know why they died. Ask Allah, He'll tell you. Famine is coming to America. You can take it or let it alone. Revolution is here. White folks buying up guns. That's why the gun lobby is so strong in America. They don't want you to have one. But white folks can get them. That little boy, Asian brother from Virginia Tech, they said the boy was mentally unstable, but he was able to get a gun. You can't get one, so you buying them hot. And you think They're studying house-to-house combat for Iraq. They're studying that for the south side and the west side of Chicago, for Harlem, for Watts, for the so-called ghettos of America. Oh yeah, you're not going to play with God. It's your time now to either submit to God or die. So America is threatening the nations now because she's got more atomic, hydrogen, neutron bombs than all the nations of the earth combined. And that's what's supporting her dollar, terrifying nations. That if you come after what we owe you, it's on. And that's why America is moving on Iran. Because America wants to make the Islamic Republic of Iran an example for the rest of the world. America can't go in there with ground troops. The Iranians will eat America up like the Iraqis are doing right now. America is fighting for the preservation of Israel. And to drop nuclear weapons on Iran, she would lose all over the world, but America has become a beast. A beast is a human that has no heart, no mercy. Some of the soldiers that came back from Iraq, they cannot stand themselves because they have killed innocent men, women, and children. They say Saddam Hussein was a tyrant, but I was in Iraq several times. And it was a better Iraq under Saddam Hussein than under the occupation forces of America, Britain, and the coalition partners. So in conclusion, it says, I heard another voice from heaven saying, "Come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins, and that you receive not of her plagues, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and God has remembered her iniquities." In my conclusion, see, you are the people of God. And just as Pharaoh had the children of Israel in bondage and refused to let them go, and just as ancient Babylon had the Hebrews in Babylon and refused to let them go, America has over 40 million of us. And refuses to let us go to our God, that he may make of us a great nation, fulfilling what is written in the scripture. Thou shalt no more be the tail. Thou shalt be the head. And the last will become first, and the first will be last. And the book said, I'm going to vex you with the foolish people. But I'm going to take that foolish people and empower them to bring to naught the wise and the prudent man. See, I'm from the foolish people. But you have to admit, you came to Mosque Mariam and you heard something that no foolish person could tell you. You have to admit that if I am a student, what kind of teacher did I have? And do I have? Now, in conclusion, come out of her, my people. How do we come out of her? First, you have to recognize that we have become little devils, doing what we know God disapproves of, that America says is all right. Little devils. And no one better tell us that we are wrong, because in your worship in church, you are so sincere. No, you are really a good people. You get the Holy Ghost. I'm not making any mockery. You talk in tongues. You love the Lord. Yes, you do. But you don't love Him enough to follow Christ. You like to worship Christ, but you don't want to follow Him. And He wants us to follow Him. Christ in the Christian sense is Mahdi in the Muslim sense, or Messiah. These are representatives of the Lord of the worlds. God never raised any servant that you should worship his servants. You follow his servants. Well, come out of her. It means first, come out of the mindset that makes us believe that money is God. Come out of the mindset that you will betray your brother and sister, your mother and your father for this. Come out of the mindset of a pimp. See, they let pimps pimp. I heard that they having a big pimp ball. And they have it every year, the pimps and the hoes. Wait. You know what kind of place is this? That you could have a ball where all the pimps just come and hang out with their pimp clothes, and the hoes come dressed in their hoe clothes. And we don't pay it no attention, we laugh. They have open drag queens. You out there buying something. You don't really know what you got. Go home and find that the girl is bigger than you. What a revolting development that is. We got to come out of this kind of thinking, this kind of action. That's the first coming out. We got to clean up our lives. You can do it. If you don't know how, come here. We'll show you how to clean up your life. But there's a second coming out. This thing still has a little value. Little stuff left. In order to come out of her, you got to take your mouth out of her kitchen. Some of you are very wise today, know the best foods to buy, and you out there trying to buy the best foods, but you don't know how they were grown. They're killing us in the finest markets. That's why we lead in all forms of cancer. When I was a young boy, cancer was a white folks' disease. What happened? Well, you don't want to cook anymore, sisters. Oh, no, this cooking is old hat. I am a professional. I'm a lawyer. I'm a doctor. Well, that's good for you. But my God, you can't cook. So somebody else is in their kitchen making your food. You don't see the kitchen. You don't know whether they were scratching their backside and then fixing the food, blowing their nose, coughing and spitting. I'm not trying to be vulgar. These things really happen. And you just pop it in the microwave. I ain't got no time. I'm busy. And the microwave heating your food up and changing the molecular structure of it. You eating all this mess and wonder why you got ovarian cancer, breast cancer, prostate cancer, lung cancer, brain cancer, colon cancer. We just cancered up. And since you love sex so much, I understand. But Lord, she's the biggest carrier of AIDS today. That's not an accident. That's on purpose. He's killing us every way possible to keep God from taking us. He'll kill us because he has no more use for us. And my Mexican family, if you're here, it ain't no accident that there's from 12 to 20 million so-called undocumented aliens in the country. That's not an accident. They allowed the border to become porous. Corporate America don't want you no more. Look, Hattie McDaniel's day is over. You know how they used to hire black domestic workers? Come in, clean their house, cook their food. Not today. It's Hispanic brothers and sisters. As Hispanic brothers and sisters are not only picking the fruit and the vegetables in California, they're on the construction teams. They're in housing because they'll work longer for less. You always looking for a break. want to get fully paid but don't want to work. So the white man don't want you. To tell you the truth, he's sick of us. He's already let us go. We haven't let him go. Come out of her. Now look at this. I close. Joseph, who was sold into bondage, became the master of Pharaoh's grain house. The grain house in America is Illinois, Iowa, Nebraska. These wheat, oats, barley, corn, bean producing states. America's for sale. You can't take it. No, don't even get that thought in your mind. But while the Benjamins have lost the binge but got a few almonds, then if we put enough of these almonds together, we could buy thousands of acres of farmland that don't lose its value when the dollar goes down. If you can produce corn and wheat and barley and oats and beans, the world is ready to trade with whoever can produce it. Cuba will buy your beans. Cuba will buy your wheat. China will buy your wheat. You can become an international power while the money has some value. Come out of her. Hey, if you start rising, China got all that money. Don't you think they not only invested in Africa, but don't you think they might want to help invest in you? You are international people, man. You think like a Negro. You need to think like a human being that has connections all over the earth. Come out of her. UFOI and MGT. We've become some bourgeois Negroes that believe in a mystery God. Sitting around waiting for a mystery God to do for us what we could unite and do for ourselves. Look, FOI. I came out to FOI a few Mondays ago. I came out to MGT a few Saturdays ago. Just think, if we in the class decided the dollar falling, but real estate, we can buy it with a falling dollar. Farmland, we can buy with a falling dollar. We got over 1,000 brothers. We wear suits. We don't wear dirty suits. We get our suits clean. Well, where's your national cleaners? Where's your national clothing factory? Where's your national bakery? Damn, the cow gives its hide to whoever will buy her. She ain't no hoe, but she'll go with you. Milk that girl. Get some milk. We can open up a supermarket. We got enough people to patronize a supermarket. If you stop becoming traders and trade with somebody else, bring your money to yourself and trade with yourself. come out of her. And if you come out of her, God will bless you. Because He wants you to do something for yourself. You selling drugs? We can teach you how to sell all kind of products that your people need. Go door to door. Come away from the enemy. Save your money. Look, you got to stop buying cigarettes. You can stop smoking. How many packs of cigarettes you smoke a week at $9 a pack? Suppose you saved 4 packs. That's 4 9s of 36. At reefer. See, if you come out of her, you don't need no reefer. You become a servant of the Most High God. You high all the time, but not off a drug. I'm high right now, and I ain't coming down. Look. Well, all right. You talked about my reefer. What about crack cocaine? Is you on the pipe? Now, wait a minute, minister. I was going along with you all the time. You didn't got into my lifestyle now. No, brother, that's a death style. Because once crack and heroin and ecstasy and all the drugs of choice take your money, you got to steal, lie, and cheat to keep up your habit. But if you got strong enough to give all that up, see, that's what God means when He said, come out of her. Then look at the money you have to invest. You may say, well, yeah, man, you don't need a Rolls Royce sitting out in front of an apartment building. I got a Rolls Royce, but I can afford to keep it up because all of you support me. I don't need it. A Volkswagen would do the same thing. But you wouldn't want me riding. Wait. You want me to represent you. Now listen. Don't buy any automobile that you can't upkeep. I know you like Mercedes-Benz and what's that other one? Bentleys. And you like Maybachs. You like them from afar. But whatever you like is going to break down. Tires, man, on some of them cars is enough to buy a new car. Buy what you can afford. Stop trying to compete with your neighbor. Stay within your means. Come out of her. And look, if 1,000 of us 2,000 of us, 5,000 of us, 10,000 of us could save $30 a month. 10,000 times 30 is $300,000. We got brothers in here, sisters, who know how to leverage money. 300,000 can get you a leverage of 3 million. So if you act with wisdom, don't think of personal ownership. That thing is dead now. But collective ownership, where we all are the beneficiaries of what we own together. That's what it means, come out of her, my people. God has set his hand against a false church that instead of being on 7 mountains, started on 7 hills. And the 7 hills represent the Roman Empire and the religion that came out of Rome, that has conquered multitudes of people and kept them in poverty, while the whore is decked in scarlet and diamonds and jewels. But she's sitting astride a beast. And it is the power of America that upholds false religion. 10 kings in South America gave their power to the beast, and now they're taking it. So the Pope has showed up in Brazil. What you doing in Brazil? So, well, the whole of Latin America is going towards socialism or a liberation theology that takes them away from Catholicism. And the Pope is upset because he's losing. The church is in revolt against itself. Has nothing to do with Jesus Christ. He's perfect and spotless. But those of us who claim him are so imperfect and so filled with spots and blemishes. And the church, many of them, will not say anything to encourage you to clean up your act. Because as long as you put money in the collection plate, you can live any kind of life you want to and bring it with you to church. That kind of religion God opposes. He does not oppose Jesus. He does not oppose the true teachings of Jesus Christ. But he opposes the dirt and the filth that is carried on in the name of Jesus the Christ. And he opposes the ignorance that's carried on in the name of Prophet Muhammad. He opposes the evil that is carried on in the name of Abraham and the Israelite prophets. All religion has to clean up its act, or God will destroy them all. So, I thank you so much for giving me this time and this attention. I hope you enjoy our lecture today on the fall of the dollar. May Allah bless you all. I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Come on, brothers and sisters, Mas Mariam, Nation of Islam. Let us give a warm round of applause to our beloved minister, the Honorable Minister Louis